Welcome to Gypsy Art Show number 4. I'm your host, Belinda Subraman. Please take a moment after you see the show and check out the show notes just below the video and find out more about our featured artist.
Yeah. Okay, Alice, I really like your art. And you seem to have a strong connection to Zanzibar. Could you tell me what you're doing with Zanzibar?
I lived in Zanzibar for about 19 years. And, I'm from America, from Albuquerque, actually, and via Arkansas. And I went to Zanzibar back in the 90s. And I ended up staying there. I just fell in love with it. And I started a project there, just teaching through the arts in a village. And it was so well received that it just kind of became home. And, time goes so fast. Before I knew it, almost 20 years had zipped on by. And so that's what I was doing there. But yeah, I had a really nice project going, and it was people in the community who didn't have any other alternatives for education. So I decided to open a nonprofit to teach through the arts. So whatever discipline they wanted to study, it was done through the arts. So it was really a good, fun time. I do. Well, every summer I teach a class with the University of in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, HSU. And so I was just recently teaching African textiles for their summer program for teens. Last year I did classes with teachers. And so just kind of getting back into doing things in America again after being over there for so long and teaching classes there.
Do you sometimes wish you were just living there instead of here?
Well, just being back here for a couple of weeks, I've tried not to think like that.
Yeah.
I figure that, the universe has a plan for me and I'm supposed to be here for some reason. So I go with that flow.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think that we are limited. When I went to university, I really had a hard time getting into just one discipline. It was such a challenge for me because I love just experimenting and playing with everything that's at my fingertips. So I may have 5 projects going on at one time in my studio. I'll be doing stained glass, infused glass, working on a still sculpture, doing a painting, drawing in pastel, a mosaic. I mean, I just dig it, and I just love to just kind of float from one to the other, and textiles. Oh gosh, I just can't get enough of any of it.
Yeah. Well, a couple of years ago in 2018, I wrote a one-woman show, which, and so this is one of those kind of spurts. It's like, oh, let me try something different. Yeah. So a friend of mine said, well, why don't you write a one-woman show? And I'm like, well, okay. Never done it before. But so I wrote this show and and produced it, directed it, starred in it, and, kind of designed my costumes. And then I just put it out there to see if there was anybody interested. And I put it out here in El Paso first to several different places, Art Center, and then, EPC, and they have certain protocols in place. So they're saying, well, we've got to pass through this process. And I said, well, okay, let me know what I need to do. And so then I did the same thing in Arkansas and in Sacramento. And Sacramento, Oakland, San Francisco took to it like crazy. And then I performed it there for several months. And then in Arkansas, performed it for several months as well. So that kept me busy. And, the really cool thing that came out of this, Belinda, is the show is all about understanding that your past does not represent your future. And just, it's a very healing performance. And so it really went over well in prisons and in reentry programs for women. And so I've done a lot of work in those venues now.
I imagine, but you tell me, do you have a lot of art installed in Zanzibar or in museum walls or on other people's walls? I'm thinking you've invested so much and shared so much that you must be represented around the island.
Yeah, definitely around the island. Yeah, I've got a lot of work there, a lot of murals, mosaic murals, and projects that I've done with the youth and at schools and in communities, you know, there on the mainland and also in Kenya and South Africa and Mali. I did a mural when I was in India in November for a month. And so I did a mural there with women from 11 countries, 50 women from 11 countries.
All right, well, it's nice talking to you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Really, I'm glad we finally got to get this thing together.
Right. And so we're looking at your art even as we're talking right now. I mean, it will be.
That's great.
Okay, well, we'll see you before long, okay?
Okay, thanks so much.
All right,
you take care of yourself, Belinda.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye now.
Every man has a story to tell, but not every man knows how to tell it. Michael Cooper could tell a story for sure. He didn't with words. Instead, his tales were best told through images of the most notable names of the freewheeling 60s. It wasn't only because of his talent, visual skill, seductive charm, charisma, and endearing personality that summarized his magnificent work. He really was an alchemical presence. Through luck or foresight, he was always there when it mattered. Michael was a unique artist with an obsessive involvement not only just to record but to participate, telling everything just like it was. He had not only an innate ability to get inside your head, but also right beyond it. His subjects were, as he said, not just faces I photographed, but people I've worked with or become involved with on a personal level. They were icons of an era the world will never forget, thanks to his talent to capture them like nobody else did. July 1969, the Stones were due to take it to the stage at Hyde Park. Brian Jones, the founder of the band, who became a fallen soldier of the times, having passed away 2 days before the event. As usual, Michael was there capturing greatly what became a memorial to Brian. As an homage, Mick Jagger read verses from Shelley's pastoral elegy, Adonis. And along with it, hundreds of white butterflies were released in his honor to fly high into the sky to greet his soul. Michael Cooper was a great artist and a great believer that any form of arts would make this world a better place. His magnificent work confirmed this greatly. Signed, Adam and Sylvia Cooper, Buenos Aires, 2019.
Jeff, how long have you been in El Paso and what are you doing here?
I've been in El Paso since 2005. I came here for work. Well, originally I came here for my partner who was teaching at UTEP, who had just gotten a job at UTEP, and I followed her here. And then later, after a few years, I was lucky to also get a job at UTEP. And so I'm here working and now raising my daughter. And I feel like I've been here for a lifetime. So,
well, you teach creative writing, is that right?
I do. I teach creative writing in the creative writing department at University of Texas, El Paso.
And will you want to tell us about your latest book?
Yeah, my latest book is actually a few years old. It's called Traveler's Aid Society. It came out on a press called Belize Books, which was originally from El Paso, though the editor now lives in Des Moines, Iowa. And it's a press that focuses on, well, originally they were publishing poetry, fiction, and translations of poetry, foreign poetry into English, focusing more specifically, I think, on translating Latin American poetry into English.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you wanting to read for us today?
Okay, I'm going to read a couple of poems which are pretty new. I've been working on them for a long time, and I've actually never read them before, I don't think. But they seemed particularly appropriate in the times that we're living in right now. I'll start with this one called These Machines That Become Us. And both of these poems are not in my book, Traveler's Aid Society. They're in their new work that will hopefully go into another book that will hopefully be finished in the near future. But the first poem is called These Machines That Become Us. The machines in formation, the machines overhead, the machines empty and haunted and cracked. They glow in the sun and they're hammering by, and I'm pining for a ride and waiting for the day when we get our view from the heavens, when we take what we can, when our heroes of the past become editors to the present and smile for the camera and all time. The antique fighter quivers up above and looping laughter, and there are forgotten books and things I can't find, including the words. When the technology reaches a point, when the technology embraces its reason, like waiting on the highway to lose its stripes, the promise of descent and the danger of free fall, desire can't fail but build these machines that become us. Okay, and this second poem, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Okay, the second poem is called Independence Day. We're measuring our resistance in the flood of children, wanting to see our faces there, only to remember that we have no faces, that we were meant to harden in the dark, blank slates for the engraver's punch. There are migratory songs all around us, the rockets rise and fall, the shot that opens on teens slipping from the rooftops, hands held open to a sea of warrant officers below, while our heroes, you know who, are locked away in prison ships afloat on the markets show and swell. And more than likely, you're the one crossing this inhospitable terrain, or will be, close to the limit as we all are, though some more than others. A prize to anyone who can locate the author of this manufacture. A round of applause for the contestant who hits the high notes as we bang away at the summer holiday. Do I pull on the alarm or head for the nearest exit, the newest anthem, the crank that turns the wheels? The dogs howl at the gate, but one thing for certain is we're learning to scale all kinds of walls now, learning to walk upright in the chain-linked park, learning to rewire the horn we'd otherwise be leaning into.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay.
So, well, thank you very much. It's nice to see you. I have seen your name on the internet connected to literarity and UTEP.
Yeah, same.
Something else. Do you do a radio show or something?
Radio show?
Something on KTEP?
Once or twice I've been on the radio, on Daniel Chacón's radio show.
Oh,
over
okay.
the years, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
All righty. Goodbye.
And I look forward to it. Thanks. Take care. Bye.
idiot reflexes, verbatim articulation, reproach, testicular tadpoles, careen, opalescent, storied ladders fall, threesome stamping, as priest rendezvous, hatching skin palaces, seeking wet innovation. Superstar glimpses, faucet hustle alone, histrionic overlook, alike deviant hormone, a cappella the sojourn, alone bargaining, concealed salamander voices, the product, lens debate, tabloid retouch, accosting dazzle. Artifact of depth, occipital chattering, straining to growth, polyglot velvet pronouncements, calling it magical, when a careen rustled parcels from teenagers, gladiatorial clenches fatigue, descents, invigorating nostalgia missives. Abdominal radar rippers, assigned problems upstaged actuarially. A flamingo vacant across from the dryer when stamping the marrow panel traditionalists passing a scent wailed reciprocity diameters transforming innocent fun as follow-on geeks shut down the production.
Jitterbug, electric slide, peppermint twist, alligator doing phone in the midnight mist. Oh, pretty mama turning heads at the door. Oh, dancing off the walls, ripping the parquet floor. Oh, shaking at the crazy horse, mama come and dance with me. Oh, shaking at the crazy horse, mama dance with me. Fred Astaire rolling over in his grave. Ginger Robin shook a dead in a phone. Go-go dancers, bunny hopping, oh, Cotton Eye Joe at the alimony. Oh, shaking at the crazy horse, mama come and dance with me. Oh, shaking at the crazy horse, mama come and dance with me. Oh, picking it dance like there's no tomorrow. Oh, backflip, start again. Oh, listen close, hear cocaine. Oh, dipping and waltzing within love. Oh, jitterbug, electric slide, peppermint twist, alligator doing the frog in the midnight mist. Oh, pretty mama turning heads at the door. Oh, dancing off the walls, ripping up the parquet floor. Oh, shaking at the crazy horse, and mama gonna dance with me.
Bo Blue is a narcissist and a psychopath. Thank God he's invisible.
See, I'd always heard, after Bukowski, poets were pansy, panty-waist cultural parasites, society's way of weeding out the emotionally dangerous. So naturally, I signed right up. Blues music to my ear. Then I found out that drugs, loose women, and rock and roll were part of the mix, and I've been addicted to putting up with maniacs ever since. If someone tries to hurt you, beat 'em to death with asterisks and chanting. They'll come around. And if they don't, fuck 'em. Cheap, superficial one-nighters are almost mandatory for cultural parasites anyways. Proof of the rule that one who'll pass out pieces of astronomically priced mind to anyone for the pleasure of the moment is a tramp. And with that, I'll have saxophone, cognac, and a few more buttons undone.
Mortgage mine, and I'll spill my desire across this dotted line. Drift out to the bricks, boys, traveling twos and threes. Perform your human tricks, boys, before they come for me. And it's another day, another gamble. We can hide in the 6 o'clock bar. It'll all come down in a shambles, but at least we know who we are. We know who we are. We know who we are. Street lights put out the fire. Does anybody have the time? Someone out back's a liar, but I always miss the sign. It's over, but I can't stop. Buyers and sellers are blind. We're always in the same spot on this dotted line. And it's another day, another gamble. We can hide in the 6 o'clock bars. It'll all come down in a shambles. At least we know who we are. We know who we are. We know who we are. Drift out to the bricks, boys, travel in twos and threes. Perform your human tricks, boys, before they come for me. It's over, but I can't stop. Buyers and sellers are blind. We're always in the same spot on this dotted line. And it's another day, another gamble. We can hide in the 6 o'clock bars. It'll all come down in our shambles, but at least we know who we are. 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 Know who we are. We 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 know who we are.
This has been an animatedpoets.com production.
So I've seen your name around in magazines, poetry magazines particularly, I guess, for decades now.
Yours too, yeah. A lot of the folks that I, particularly saw at Jonathan's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean in the 80s maybe, 80s, 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We're old then, that's what that means.
Yeah.
When we
But
first
still
started
alive.
seeing each other in magazines, we were probably young and hot.
And now we're old and hot, so it's okay.
All right, I'll go with that. So
Yeah.
I hear you have a new book out. Tell me about that. Moving with every, I can't see the bottom.
Moving with every.
Oh, that's the name. All right. And
There's no more to it than that.
who published by?
By Flowstone Press, which is a small press in Southwest Oregon.
Uh-huh.
Michael Spring. And I'm real lucky because I had another book out from Jonathan last October, which I shopped around for like 3 years.
Uh-huh.
And then this next one comes out 9 months later, Easter famine, sort of.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start with the poem that isn't in the book that was written about the political activity here in Portland. I do a political poem every week for our community radio station, KBOO. Been doing that for about 4 years. The hottest reality show these days is Democracy in Danger, Portland. The invaders have flashbangs, chemical agents, rented vans. We have a wall of moms, thousands of people ready to march or lay down on a bridge, folks with leaf blowers and hockey sticks for tear gas, and a 53-year-old veteran the camel shirt's batons couldn't budge. Meanwhile, Trump combines distraction and obstruction, sins of commission and omission. He hopes infection will help his re-election. By stifling the facts, states don't know how to act. As things get worse, he tightens the federal purse. By increasing the 1%'s profits, he deprives many of us of what we need to just get by. The first and only season climax will be in November. Trump thinks what we don't know, like COVID numbers, who's doing what with federal funds, can't hurt him. But we know more than enough to evict and multiply convict him, as Mar-a-Lago becomes the world's most expensive asylum.
Wow. All right, proceed.
No love lost there, but okay. I'll do one more, and this one also reflects on the politics. It was written 3 years ago, but how poetry can predict the future sometimes. Whose hand between my head and the doorframe? Bang my head against hold my fingers to the flame, cry, run, drop and roll, fold into a tree, pray for instant night, for the transporter beams to reach me before a bullet. Each day's a little hotter. Night has given up on cooling, winds waiting for motivation, time turning sticky swamp, aglow with memories, analgesic Photoshop. I go to the bathroom, but nothing comes out. I look in the mirror, but it's the same headlines from 3 days ago. This threatened, that blocked, the 5 stupidest things I thought. If I was 7 stories above the ground instead of 1, would the actual world be any further? Deforested, platted, paved, cheek to jowl, no room to howl. How my clothes clothe me. Do I cover my head or shave it for full exposure? Put a mask on the back of my skull so you think I'm backing away. Does it matter if the policeman can hear? If he knows my language? So much stops when the cop stops you. The Constitution, common sense, the long crafted raids on my paranoia, on my sense of justice. Is it better to be mislabeled or not to be seen at all? If I don't drive a car, my taillight can't malfunction. My registration can't expire. And the time I spend on the bus is time vulnerable, unfamiliar. Soon police won't pull buses over. they'll reroute them to where none of us want to go.
All right. And thank you very much. Nice to meet you or see you for the
Thanks,
first time.
Belinda, after all these years.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Namaste.
All right.
1,000,000 mirrors.
Russian pilots swore they flew their planes empty to Tanzania just to fly, fish back. The locals could not afford to buy.
Until one, after many drinks,
said, "Yes, we fly in guns and ammunition. It's business. I wish all children could be happy,
but I don't know how."
Russian children
receive grapes for Christmas.
Tanzanian children receive guns. And we are richer from war. 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 And we are richer from war.
Thank you for watching and listening to G.A.S. Poetry, Art, and Music. Your likes, comments, shares, and subscriptions are greatly appreciated and will help us be seen and heard.